Hey guys, what is up? What's happening? It's the King of Games 98 here at your service. How you doing? Hope you are doing good and staying safe during these very weird pandemic times we are in right now. And I am back at it again with a new video game controller unboxing video. What controller it may be. Well, so I'm going to say this about the company first, and then I will actually show you here what the controller is. So, I've been seeing a lot of big name YouTube gamers getting sent this company's brand of controllers for review purposes. Well, yeah, primarily for review purposes. And I have been watching some of these big YouTube gamers review videos and, thoughts, first impression videos on these controllers because I was generally interested and curious about them. And it's actually funny. So I'm actually recording this video on Wednesday, and me and my friend Tyler, aka Mr. Game and Squatch, who I've featured multiple times on my channel, last Wednesday, so a week ago, we went to Next Level Video Games, and he traded in some bunch of Star Wars action figures he didn't want and bought some cool stuff. I did not bring anything to trade in, and more or less was kind of going just to see what Nick, the owner, had, and just to check out, if there's any games or stuff that I've been looking for and or wanted, and yeah. So he had and stocks and sells this company's brand of wired controllers, and I almost bought two of them. One for the N64 and the other for Sega Dreamcast, and I didn't only because they were $50 each, and I seriously stopped and questioned myself and asked myself, do I really need to spend $100 on two new wired controllers, one for N64 and one for Sega Dreamcast? And the answer that I came back to myself with was no. And what I ended up doing was I did not buy the N64 controller, and that was due to, I think I own about 7 or 8 wired N64 controllers. So I was like, I think I'm good on N64 controllers. Not that I really play N64 that much, but when I do, I think I got enough controllers. But the Sega Dreamcast one, it really caught my eye and my attention, and I did end up buying that one. And that controller is Retro Fighters StrikerDC gamepad for the Sega Dreamcast. And as you can see, there is Nick's Next Level Video Games price sticker on it. I did pay $50 for this, and that came out of my own money. No, this was not sent to me for free for review purposes. I did pay for this out of pocket, but I was okay with that, like I said, because I think this is a really cool looking new design Sega Dreamcast controller. And along with that, as you guys very well know, blue is my favorite color. So when Nick actually had this controller in the white, classic white, off-white, whatever you want to call it, color of the Dreamcast controllers, and then he had it in this blue colored controller, and I was like, oh, dude, I gotta go for the blue one. So, yeah. Now, I'm not going to keep on rambling and talking your ear off, but for the record, I will say the majority of popular YouTube gamers' videos have been on Retro Fighters Striker 64 controller, I believe it is called, and I have seen either little to no videos on the StrikerDC Dreamcast controller. So I thought it would be cool to kind of buy the more oddball, obscure controller. And, you know, along with that, I really do love the Sega Dreamcast. And if I'm going to compare it, if I'm going to compare how many Dreamcast controllers I own the N64 controllers, well, it's really night and day. I own way more N64 controllers than I do Dreamcast controllers. And as of this video, I already owned a total of 4 Dreamcast controllers. So this guy actually makes number 5. And you know, I guess you could, you know, really ask yourself or ask me, you know, did I really need this controller? And the answer is probably no. But at the same time, I don't like the regular Sega Dreamcast controller. So I bought this controller in hopes of that I will actually like how it feels while gripping in my hands, and that hopefully it feels comfortable to me while, again, gripping in my hands. So, we have the front of the box, the right side, back. StrikerDC gamepad, introducing the next revolution from Retro Fighters, the Dreamcast StrikerDC controller. The StrikerDC gamepad showcases next-generation features and designs. This new take on the Dreamcast controller introduces an ergonomic and modern shape with added features. And that is what really sold me, not to interrupt reading the back of this, but that was what really sold me on this. This is like a modern shaped Dreamcast controller, and it actually has ergonomic grips on both sides. The StrikerDC is the ultimate way to relive your favorite classic games. And then we have, you know, little highlights. Ergonomic and modern design Dreamcast controller. Yep, compatible with both VMUs and vibration packs. Nice. I wouldn't say a lot, but I think maybe 5 or 6 VMU memory cards. I actually do not own a vibration pack for the Dreamcast. High quality and responsive D-pad. That's good. Extra long 10-foot cord. Wow. That's, for a wired controller, that's actually really nice. Added turbo function to help get you to the next level. That's nice. Comfortable and responsive analog stick. That's also a big plus for me. Okay, so we got the left side. Oh, that's cool. On the left side of the box, they actually have a picture of the actual controller, like, going sideways. That's cool. So we got the top, Retro Fighters, bottom. Okay, let's get into this. I gotta tell you guys, I was really hype and really excited to both find and buy this controller because, oh, and I just kind of ripped the box a little, but that's okay. I'm still going to keep the box. That's not going to deter me from that. But yeah, as I was saying, I was really hyped and excited to both find and buy one of these controllers at a local video game store. You know, not to mention a locally owned small business video game store, which I love supporting them, and I love supporting Nick and his video game store, Next Level Video Games. Huge shout out to him, because that's where I got it from. I can link his Facebook page in the description of this video. Yes, I will do that. And so, you know, this, I just really preferred buying this locally than having to buy it online, pay for shipping, having to wait having to wait for the controller to come in the mail. Yeah, you know, with this whole pandemic, there's no telling how long that would have freaking taken. And okay, that's everything out of the box. Box can go along the side here. Like I said, I am going to keep it. Oh, that's cool. It's a sheet of little 8-bit characters, and they're stickers. That's freaking cool. And we got a FAQ little page. That's good to know. Oh, there's the keychain. Yeah, I was looking for the little 8-bit character keychain, because apparently with every single one of their controllers, they include one of these keychains. That's awesome. Retro Fighters. Very cool. And this, I guess, is a little... Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. Quick start. Yeah, instruction manual. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, here's the actual controller. Let's get this out. I'm going to keep that. That goes with the box. Wow. Okay, they really weren't kidding when they said extra long 10-foot cord. Yeah, this definitely looks like a long cord on this wired controller, and I'm not complaining. And I don't mean that in a bad way. That's a good thing, because I personally would rather have a long cord on a wired controller than have a short cord on a wired controller. Or if at all possible, just buy a wireless freaking controller. I'm good with that too. You know, Bluetooth or 2.4 gigahertz, whatever. Okay, so do I really want to unravel this long cord? Yeah, you know what? We are going to unravel this long cord. Not that I don't trust or believe Retro Fighters that this is not a 10-foot long cord. I'm just curious for myself. Wow. Okay, yeah, this is definitely a very long cord on this wired controller. But again, not a bad thing. That's awesome. I love it. I know you guys can't really see it all that well. There's the end of it. Yeah. It's a very long cord on this wired controller. So I don't doubt that what they said on the box, extra long 10-foot cord. Yeah, I don't doubt that's not true. This is probably a 10-foot long cord on this wired controller, and again, not a bad thing. That's freaking awesome. I love it. Okay, so now let's get to the actual controller, and wow, 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 sham wow. I love I love the blue color of this controller, first off. And then I like that part of it is the blue color, and then the other half is a light gray. Yeah, that looks light gray to me. Yeah. And some of the buttons, aside from the A, B, X, and Y buttons, you know, they're different colored. Some of the buttons on the actual controller are that same light gray color. Wow, I love how this controller looks, and I'm really liking it so far. Wow, this feels nice. This feels nice. It's very comfortable. Yes. And ergonomic in my hands while holding in my hands. Yes. I like how that D-pad is very responsive. I like that the analog stick is very responsive. Got the start button. Oh, and this is the turbo button. Okay, and then that says clear. I guess that's clear for the turbo button. A, B, X, Y, L, R, shoulder buttons. And then we got trigger buttons in the back that aren't labeled. Yeah, they feel pretty good. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I am absolutely in love with this controller. I am so freaking glad and happy I bought this controller. And just again, it feels so comfortable while holding in my hands. Yes! Unlike a traditional Sega Dreamcast controller, which just to me is uncomfortable while holding in your hands. And again, I love Sega dearly. For those of you that know me well, for the majority of my life, I have been a Sega fanboy. And I still am to this day, except I love SNK's Neo Geo more now. But along with being a big Neo Geo fan, I am still a Sega fan, you know, tried and true. Although, for the record, I definitely post more Neo Geo. I definitely upload, more Neo Geo related videos on my YouTube channel than Sega related videos on my YouTube channel, but that's okay. I'm trying to make up for it here with this, and wow. I'm just absolutely blown away by this, and I love it. Wow. Okay, so here's the front of it. We're gonna do a little tour of the controller. Right side, back, and all right. I'm gonna point this out right now. I like that they put. Okay, I like how they made this controller. That the wire is coming out of the controller from the top. Because if you owned or currently still own a Sega Dreamcast, the official Dreamcast controllers, the cord for the controller was coming out at the bottom. Yeah, I don't know what possessed Sega to make their controllers or design their controllers so that the cord for the controller was coming out of the bottom, but that's what they did. It was really weird, and I still don't understand to this day why they did it like that, but they did. And, you know, it says Retro Fighters StrikerDC. Okay, we got the left side. We got the top, and there is still 2 memory card slots. And the vibration packs can also go in them too, which is great. I love it. We got the bottom. Yeah, I can definitely say without a doubt, I am very glad and happy to have bought this controller. Only bad thing I could even say about this controller, and I hate to even say something bad about this controller just because of how I love how it feels ergonomically in my hands, and I love how the controller itself looks too. But I will say the controller is very light. It is very lightweight, and it is easily, you know, the controller is very lightweight, and it is very easy to just pick up. And so usually with buying video game accessories, controllers, what have you, by these, third party companies, at least in my personal experience, whenever something is very lightweight, it's usually very cheap, or, the quality of it is usually really low. And I really don't even want to say that because I don't want to jinx this controller, because again, I did pay $50 for it, and I thought that, I didn't think that that was a bad price for that, but at the same time, it was like, it was still $50. 50 bucks is still a lot to pay for a wired controller. But I feel like that this is going to be my go-to controller for whenever I do play my Sega Dreamcast. So I think that is a pretty fair trade-off. Now, what I'm going to do, since we're kind of getting towards the end of this video, where I wanted to end this at, I have an original Sega brand Dreamcast wired controller here, and I'm now going to do side-by-side comparisons between these two controllers, because that is where I think you're really going to see and understand where I'm coming from with why I wanted that controller as opposed to having to use that controller. So, okay. So right off the bat, what do we see? Okay, some similarities. The start buttons on both controllers are like kind of shaped like a triangle. Okay, that's not a big deal to me. The A, B, X, and Y buttons are all the same color, are all the same colored buttons, excuse me. A is red, B is blue, X is yellow, Y is green. I think that was nice that they stuck with that. They both have the little windows for the VMU memory cards. They both have 2 memory card slots. I like. And yeah, that's about it for the similarities. you know, once you start comparing them, you get to the D-pad and it's like, dude, that's freaking night and day. You get to the analog stick, that's night and day. This has a turbo button built into the controller. This does not. This has 2 shoulder buttons and 2 trigger buttons. This has no shoulder buttons and 2 trigger buttons. And most importantly, this has actual grips on both sides of the controller. That is my biggest gripe with the OEM Sega brand Dreamcast controllers. That this controller's grips, the little ones, you know, these here that are even there, they suck. I hate them. You know, again, nothing against the Sega Dreamcast. I do love the Dreamcast. I feel like it is Sega's #1 underrated console ever, and #2 would be Sega Saturn. But that conversation's for another day. Anywho, again, nothing against the Sega Dreamcast because I really do love the console and I have a lot of good games for it. But the controller, having to use that controller has really deterred me a lot of times from playing my Dreamcast, you know? So I have faith and am confident now that using Retro Fighters StrikerDC Dreamcast controller will be a very comfortable and ergonomic feeling controller while in my hands. And who knows, maybe because of buying this controller, I will now play more Dreamcast games on my Sega Dreamcast. Now, before I go, there is one last thing I wanted to do. So, as you guys see, I bought the blue-colored Retro Fighters StrikerDC Dreamcast controller. Now, actually, one of the VMU memory cards I own for the Dreamcast is this transparent blue-colored one. Yeah, you know, it's pretty cool looking, huh? You know, and blue is my favorite color, of course, so I love it even more. So I wanted to see what this memory card would look like while in that controller. So we're going to do that. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is what the blue Dreamcast VMU memory card looks like while inserted into the blue Retro Fighters StrikerDC Dreamcast controller. You know what the funny part is? Both the controller and the memory card look like the same shade of blue. That's the crazy thing of it all. It actually looks like it matches. That's freaking funny. Okay, guys, so that's going to do it for my unboxing of Retro Fighters StrikerDC Dreamcast controller, the blue-colored one. And my final thoughts on the controller are, I really like it. I like the shape, design, the button layout of the controller. I love the 10-foot long cord of the wired controller. I love that it actually has grips on the left and right sides of it. I like, you know, they kept with how the original Dreamcast controller was, you know, laid out, but just shaped the actual controller differently to, say, like a modern controller. And that's what I really love about this controller. And again, like I said, the only really bad thing or complaint, if you want to call it that I have against this controller is that it feels kind of light. Now, I do have this VMU memory card inserted into the first memory card slot, and that memory card kind of adds and gives it some weight, so that's good. But, you know, with no memory cards inserted into the controller, it's a very lightweight and kind of cheap feeling controller. But regardless, I absolutely love this controller. If you're a Sega Dreamcast fan and, you know, you're like me and you're tired of using those OEM Sega brand Dreamcast controllers, I would highly say and recommend you go buy yourself a Retro Fighters StrikerDC Dreamcast controller because it is a breath of fresh air, if you will, into the Sega Dreamcast for its controllers. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you very much for sticking around with me for 24 minutes now. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And please let me know in the comments down below. Did you buy a Retro Fighters StrikerDC Dreamcast controller? Or did you buy Retro Fighters Striker 64 N64 controller? And if so, let me know what you think of this one or the N64 controller. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down below. Thank you very much, guys, for watching, and take care.